Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Chairs Guerrera, Boucher, Leone, and Ranking Member Carney, and distinguished members of the Transportation Committee. I thank you for raising this piece of legislation to be heard. House Bill 5186, an act concerning the mailing of motor vehicle registration renewal applications and notices of emissions inspection requirements. Hopefully this is third time's a charm, because this is the third time I've brought this forward to you, and every time you've welcomed me to come and speak before you. I'm not sure if you've got the testimony. I tried to look online and I did not see it online. Hopefully you received my testimony and some of the numbers regarding it. Simply saying that what I believe should be done is that when you get your registration notice, then in the registration notice it states, first of all, it says in your registration notice that you have to have an insurance and you have to have verifiable insurance. And the second thing is that you need to have your emissions done prior to this, you turning in your paperwork or doing it online. That's all I'm saying. It's just another block on a registration form saying, hey, listen, go get your emissions done. Instead, we send out little cards like this at a tune of about $500,000. This was the old one. And I brought this legislation up and they said, well, make a new one. So the new one looks like this. And it comes in your mail. Kind of maybe looks like some other junk mail that you may get in your mail that you never see. And the fine is $20. If you don't go and do it on time, it's $20. That doesn't seem like a lot of money. But to the state of Connecticut residents, it's approximately $3.5 million just in emissions fines, not the dollars that come into the emissions. It's $3.5 million. The numbers over the years since we've gone to this little mailing card is essentially approximately $28 million in lost dollars to the residents of the state of Connecticut just in fines. And I did notice the commissioners, I do give him credit for stepping up and taking that position. And he says, well, the reason why I oppose this isn't for the process that they use, is because of the dollars that the state would lose on that. And I think of it as the case is that, and that's actually in his testimony, fiscal, because of the fiscal impact of changing how we do it would be lost revenue for the state of Connecticut. I think good policy is just having that. When I turn in, I have an occupational license. When I turn in my occupational license, I have to do two things before I can get my occupational license, before they'll take my money. Essentially, we do the same thing with registrations. If you don't have a valid insurance and you haven't completed your emissions testing, you don't get it. You don't get your registration. That's all we need to do. Instead of sending out a card, that's really just essentially a cost. The third party does this, but it's really just a revenue generator for the state of Connecticut. I think we just should clean it up and essentially say on our registration, you had to have, before the date of approving this, you had to have a valid emissions pass, and that's all done electronically already. You don't have to go and get the card and deliver it, because you can do it all online now. When you do your online renewal, you just essentially send it in. If they notice that your emissions wasn't completed, then essentially you don't get to have your new registration. So I think that's better than putting a sticker back in. And so that's my testimony, and I hope
That's a very interesting concept. It is, and I think that you caught a lot of our attention on this legislation. So I think we will be debating this quite in detail. Just one quick thing, Representative. So
yes, sir.
You have spoken to DMV about this?
Well, we brought it up, so since I've been doing this, we've gone through a couple of commissioners,
Okay.
and so.
Have you met with the acting commissioner?
Not with.
Could I ask if you would do that?
Absolutely, be happy to.
Get back to me, or
yeah, I did look at his testimony. It just
Yeah.
was real quick, just in opposition, but for the fiscal impact.
And get back to either one of us just to let us know how that went.
I would love to do that. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Senator Boucher has a comment, though.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Ackert. You always bring some very practical proposals to the table, and everyone here on this committee knows that I've been a long-standing opponent of not having some identifying feature or sticker on our license plates, because our law enforcement agencies have depended on it in the past, and it's much harder. Although they say with now new computerized system, it's very easy to scan a plate and be able to run the records. But it's not, it's different. It's if you have some sense of something else happening versus this just basically tells you if you registered or you paid or you didn't. And so I still think we have a problem with this. In an effort to save money, we tend to make our enforcement process much weaker and not so good. But what you're proposing really is a big help. So I am very much interested as well to see how this goes forward in your conversations with the commissioner, if you can give us the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Boucher.
Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you.